Well, good morning. Can everyone hear? Well, thank you for joining us for the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board video conference meeting for July the 23rd, 2020. We have a few announcements to make regarding the video conferencing meeting. First, if the video conference is disconnected at any time during the meeting shall be stopped and reconvened once the audio-video connection is restored. If communications are unable to be restored within 15 minutes, items remaining for consideration will be continued at 11:30 a.m. on July 23rd, 2020 via video conference. Second, the agenda and documents are located on okc.gov. To speak to a certain agenda item, please call in advance of the meeting to 405-297-3467 or text your request in advance of the meeting to 405-205-4195. Include your name, the agenda item number, and the reason you would like to speak. Please submit your request prior to the beginning of the meeting to avoid receiving your request after your item has been considered. City staff will attempt to submit requests received during the meeting to process them to the meeting chair. Finally, to speak under comments by board, staff, and citizens, please call 405-297-3467 or text 405-205-4195. Please list your name, address, phone number, and the subject on which you wish to address the board. Do we have a quorum? Lisa, Mark, do we have a quorum?
Yes, you do, sir.
We've been notified that we have a quorum, so the meeting is now officially called to order. The item 2 on our agenda is a consideration of the minutes. You've been furnished with copies of our minutes of June the 25th, 2020. Are there additions or corrections? It has been moved by Todd Stone and seconded by Bob Nalen that the minutes be approved. Is there further discussion? Cast your vote.
Mr. Dover, how do you care to vote on this? Mr. Dover, are you muted?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Morales? Ms. Morales, can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear her, so she will be absent for this vote.
All right. The motion has been approved. Item 3, you have been furnished in your materials the MAPS 3 budget and obligation reports as of July 14th, 2020. David, any comments for us to consider?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I do have a comment. We don't have the revenues and expenditures because at the end of the fiscal year, those numbers have not become available for us, but you do have the budget and obligations report, and I'll try to answer questions if you have them.
Any questions? Shall we receive it? Been moved by Michael Adams and seconded by Todd Stone that we receive the report as submitted. Is there further discussion? Cast your vote.
Mr. Dover, this is Lisa. How do you care to vote?
Aye.
Ms. Morales, can you hear me?
All right then, Lisa, let's show her as abstaining on this vote and move to item 4. Item 4 is a proposal for final acceptance of the fairgrounds project. David?
Yes, sir. Recommend final acceptance of the MAPS 3 Oklahoma Phase 2 new Expo building project and placing maintenance plan number 2 into effect, project M3-F002. If you'll recall, we did a final acceptance below the roof because we were still having problems with leaking on the roof. This has gone on for quite some time, and we believe that we have resolved all of the leaks on that roof. We went through significant storms and didn't have any leaks, so we're ready to final the roof. And this comes with recommendation from the Fairgrounds Subcommittee.
Are there questions for David? It's been moved by Bob Nalen and seconded by Todd Stone that we approve the recommendation and final acceptance. Is there further discussion? Cast your vote.
Mr. Dover, how do you care to vote?
Aye.
Ms. Morales, do you have audio yet? Mr. Boatwright, are you still in PrimeGov?
I am. I can see the notifications, the motion and the second, but I haven't been able to see any of the voting screens.
It doesn't pop up on your screen?
No, but the motion then second does.
Huh. How do you care to vote?
Aye.
Just a reminder to members to make sure they hit escape so they can see both their Zoom screen and their PrimeGov screen, because the Zoom screen will go full screen.
Ms. Morales, are you still on? Okay, she'll be absent because I can't hear her.
Mr. Chairman, you're muted. Mr. Chairman, you're muted.
There you go.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Is that better?
Yes, sir.
All right. That brings us to item 5 on the agenda. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 5 is recommend approval of preliminary report, MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center, number 3, project M3-H004. Very glad to bring this to you today. There's a lot of people who've worked very hard, including the subcommittee, staff, architects, operator, a whole lot of effort's gone into this. So we're very glad to bring you this. David Hornbeek from Hornbeek Blatt is here to give you a presentation on this preliminary report. So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Hornbeek.
Thank you, David, Todd, and I'm hoping that each one of the voting board members can hear me clearly. Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, David. You're clear.
Okay, thank you. David, Todd, can you hear me better today?
Yes, sir. Much better.
Thank you. All right. Well, it's a pleasure to make this presentation of this report. It has been a long time coming, and we're just excited about where we have fallen in the result of this process. So, slide, advance. The program has not changed since day one. This is an active community senior health and wellness center, and it will provide services for the northeast side of Oklahoma City. Langston University will be the operator, And we have essentially two sides to this center. One is what I call the active side, or the fitness side, and the other is the passive side, or the community side. The fitness side, which will be managed by the YMCA as a managing partner, includes a gymnasium, a swimming pool and natatorium. It includes fitness and workout areas. It includes group activity and exercise areas. And it includes a 1/12 mile elevated track. And it also includes the expanded locker areas that we are renovating currently in 1 and 2 to meet these standards. Next slide, please. The passive side is more community focused, and our concentration has been on what Langston and the constituents around this facility deem as the most important, and that is truly a community center in which they can come at any time, even on the weekends. That will include multi-purpose rooms and meeting rooms, and those multi-purpose rooms can be divided and are serviced by a kitchen. That kitchen will also be able to provide daily meals, and there's also a teaching and demonstration kitchen that will be available to the seniors so that they can learn to better cook and take care of themselves. There's also a small multipurpose clinic space with some computer areas and a place for gaming as well. Next slide. Advance, please. We'd be on 4.
We appear to be having some technical issues with that, so just bear with us here.
While we're waiting for it, David, I'm going to go ahead and preface the viewing of the next slide. That next slide is going to be the current budget, and it includes the increase that you all voted and approved last time we met, or last time I was in front of you. And our current estimate that we're going to show you breaks out the furniture and the equipment and even some of the pool equipment separately, but that, along with our estimate on where the building is right now, is under the total amount of budget that has been approved by you all. And when it comes up, you'll be able to see those numbers. One too many. Can we back up one? Well, we can go over this one. There we go. You can see we have a little close to $1,600,000 in furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Like I said, that is in several areas, including the kitchen equipment. And then the estimated building cost is a little over $10,125,000, and our total estimated cost as presented is $11,712,501, and our budget at this time is $11,717,000. Advance, thank you. The budget or the schedule to complete from here is if you accept the preliminary report, this will go to the City Council in August. And if they approve it, then we will begin final plans. We have 90 days to complete the final plans, and we'll complete those in November. We'll go out for bidding with everyone's approval in December. And we anticipate construction beginning in March of 2021 and completing in July of 2022. This is a little bit, some slides to refresh your memory. The site is on the northeast corner of Northeast 36th and Lincoln, exactly 1 mile north of the State Capitol Complex. Advance, please. And on that site, we have taken the northwest corner to locate the Wellness Center. Advance, please. And currently, this is how we anticipate the development of the site to go. We will be in the northwest corner. The Homeland grocery store that's been proposed will be in the southeast corner. And our building was designed to even reach out and provide the quickest possible link between the two facilities. Next slide, please. This is the current plan that we have come up with, including input from the Wellness Center Committee at our last meeting. Has a couple of changes in it, but with our increase, we were able to incorporate those. And there, as you can see, there's the gymnasium and the active side on the west or the left side of this slide, north being up sheet. The pool is essentially right in the center. And the passive side is the east side or the right wing that kind of reaches out and south towards the proposed Homeland grocery store. This wing is designed so that it can be locked off and operated on weekends and after hours when the Wellness Center is not in operation. And we've provided for its own separate entry and even toilet facilities for those functions as well. Next slide, please. This is the upper level that shows the track and the group exercise area. The track overlooks a full gymnasium below that can be divided into 3 paddle tennis courts. Actually, paddle tennis is not the right term, pardon me. Let's go to the next slide. What we're going to show next is an aerial view from the southwest looking northeast at the entire complex, how it will look. Next slide, please. We went to the other side. This is from the southeast looking northwest. And the next slide. This is a view of the entry area as you come up to it with the active and fitness side on the left and the passive and community side on the right. Next slide, please. From the, this is a slide of the interior looking west from the reception desk that you would be greeted at as you came in that entry, that covered entry that we saw on the last slide. And as you can see, there is a view into the gymnasium, and the walking track above looks down into this space as well. Next slide. This is a shot looking specifically at the fitness and active side of the facility. Next slide. From the drop-off area. And this is a view from the elevated track looking down into the gymnasium. And you can see the glass that allows you to see back into the entry area and lounge areas that are adjacent. And that's also how you would access to the locker rooms. Next slide, please. This is the last slide of the presentation, but it's a view of what this facility will look like from the corner of 36th and Lincoln if you were stopped at the stoplight and looking at the building. that's my presentation, and I'm certainly here to try to answer any questions that any of your board members may have, Tom.
Question for David? Well, it's before us for a approval of the preliminary report. Shall we approve it? It's been
I
moved by,
move the
seconded by Bob,
resolution.
that we approve it. Cast your vote.
Mr. Dover,
Aye.
Mr. Boatright,
Aye.
Ms. Morales,
All right, then, the motion has been approved. We'll move to item 6. This is a change order related to the convention center. David?
Item 6 is recommend approval of change order number 27 and amendment number 7, MAPS 3 Convention Center, increase of $96,581.69, project M3-C003. So this is a change order for the convention center, what we would consider routine construction items. However, the largest part of this is a operator requested piece of equipment, the cleaning solution machine. There was some additional power and plumbing that needed to be done in addition to buying the machine. And then the second one is the wall sealant. So when you finally get to go in and tour the convention center, some of the wall material in the meeting rooms is looks like a reclaimed barn wood, and it was a little rough. Afraid it might snag people's clothes or give splinters. So there's we've got a proposal to put a sealant on that to smooth it out and to make it a little more rugged. So then there's some light fixture modifications, column modifications, and some geogrid. We found some more, as far as the amendment, we found some more concrete as they were doing the parking lot over there, found a big chunk of concrete, and that's $6,200. And then on 4th Street, we were stabilizing and preparing for the roadway and the pavers. There was a section of dirt that we could not get stabilized. It was just bad soil. So that has already been removed and replaced. So there's $6,500 for that. If there's any other questions, I'll try to answer those.
Question for David? The Convention Center Subcommittee met yesterday and discussed this thoroughly, and it was unanimously approved by them. It's been moved by Bob Nayland and seconded by Todd Stone that we approve this change order and amendment. Is there further discussion? Cast your vote.
Mr. Dover,
Aye.
Mr. Boatright,
Aye.
Ms. Morales, can we hear you yet?
Here's to stay muted.
All right, the motion is passed. That moves us to item 7, David.
Item 7 is recommend approval of change order number 28, MAPS 3 Convention Center, increase of $4,014,625, project M3-C003. So this is a change order that addresses the final pieces of the 4th Street improvements that we have out there. If everybody will remember the presentations that were given showing the for lack of a better word, the trees, the steel structures that will go out there along 4th Street. We'll be doing 10 of those structures for the $4 million that is shown here. One of the questions that was asked at the subcommittee is how much is left. That'll give us about $2.3 million left in the account, still accounting for the $5 million that has been talked about giving back. So we're still in really good shape on this budget-wise. And this was approved by the Convention Center subcommittee. I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Questions for David? Shall we approve it? Kimberly Lowe has moved that we approve it. It's been seconded by Todd Stone. Is there further discussion? Cast your vote.
Mr. Dover,
Aye.
Mr. Boatright,
Aye.
Ms. Morales,
All right, the motion passed. That then takes us to item number 8, David.
Item 8 is recommend approval of preliminary report Maps 3 West River Trail Realignment Project M3-T005. Craig Wallace is here from Smith Roberts Baldesweiler to go over this preliminary report. There was not a quorum with this subcommittee this month, but those in attendance did recommend that we send this on to the advisory board and was pleased with what we have. Seem to still be having some trouble with staff connection. See what we can get up here.
David, I don't know if they can allow me to share, but I mean, I could pull it up. If we continue to have some problems, we might try that.
Why don't you go ahead and try that, Craig?
Okay, they would have to, oh, there it is.
There it is.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Todd and Chairman McDaniels and Advisory Board. I am Craig Wallace with Smith Roberts Baldesweiler. We're very appreciative of the opportunity to come before you this morning with this preliminary report on the West River Trail that will hopefully provide results to be able to reopen that trail with a realignment. And so today in this preliminary report, we hope to outline really the scope of the work that will be required to do that. So we can go to the next slide. Obviously, the existing conditions of the trail were such that it needed to be closed. We can see here in this photo and the location map that the embankment along Oklahoma River south of Lake Overholser has eroded and degraded as such to where it was threatening the existing trail, which required the city to reach out to try to find solutions to resolve that. The next slide. Initially, a report was done early or late in 2019, actually presented in January, that was a remediation and a rebuild of that embankment along the Oklahoma River. You can see a couple of plan sheets that indicated what our recommendation was at that time. As we researched that and put a cost to it, it became fairly obvious that there was a probably cost prohibitive price tag of somewhere around $1.5 to $2.5 million, depending on what option would be selected. But as we were doing that report, next slide please, we identified an alternative route that could be used in order to move that trail to the east along ODOT right of way, then utilizing Oklahoma City road easements to be able to rebuild a trail for a lot less dollars. And so MAPS has then taken the project back and asked us to present this report and to try to analyze the route and the cost of that for this realignment. So that's what this report will detail. This shows the north section of the trail that would parallel the existing I-40 Oklahoma Department of Transportation right-of-way. We feel like through a shared agreement with ODOT, we could establish a alignment that brings us back into Oklahoma City-owned road right away. The typical section on this sheet does show improvements to the trail as well from when it was built several years back. MAPS has adopted some concrete ribbon curbs or header curbs to help the confined edges of the asphalt, still with a stabilized base and 5 inches of asphalt with a standard 12-foot width. And also, as we go to the next slide, we show the alignment, the existing roadway alignment. It's actually a shared alignment with OG&E Utilities and Oklahoma City road alignment, where we would back the trail up to the existing curb line along Melvin Young's Boulevard, still building the same typical section, but instead of on one side, the concrete header curb would actually be backing it up to the roadway curb, still maintaining that 12-foot alignment, and again, inside of Oklahoma City road right away. The next slide. We do have some options along the south leg as we turn west to go back to make connections to the existing trail, and that's really what we're presenting is some options to completely tie this trail back into the West River Trail. Option 1 showed a shared or multi-use trail facility for about 250 feet along Southwest 8th Street. The existing roadway is there, but there are commercial properties and an existing business along this. And as we know, the shared trails or multi-use trails in some instances do provide or do prove to have safety concerns with that. So we provided a few additional options. Option 2 shows that we take that trail off of Southwest 8th Street and put it behind the existing curb that is on the concrete, but the road right away along Southwest 8th Street is very limited. It's about 40 feet along this section and then narrows to 30 feet. But with the existing 32-foot roadway, we would have to acquire additional permanent or temporary easements in order to do the trail, to construct the trail behind that curb. Plus there's drainage improvements that would have to be accomplished. And so there would be additional considerations that we felt like were a concern. We looked at option 3, which would allow the trail to come across the street and put it on the south side and go along the south curb line, but we also have some concerns with that. There's existing utility structure there. There's an Oklahoma City water line. There's utility poles. There are also the property owners on the south side. We would, again, have to look at temporary and/or permanent easements that would have to be acquired. The other concern is that it would cross driveways into those commercial facilities, as well as along the edge of a gravel drive that goes into a business. And so there are concerns with option 3 that may present it to be prohibitive as well. We went to an option 4 to look at how we could stay on the north side and possibly reconstruct that 250 feet of roadway. Now, understand that Southwest 8th Street does terminate about 250 feet. And as we can see in this plan sheet, as well as we all know, it doesn't go any further west because of the river. It would go to a dead end street. And so if we reconstructed the roadway to a 32-foot width by using the south easement, again, we would have to look at relocations of utilities, existing utilities. We would still have to deal with those property owners. And actually, this option was the most expensive of all the options that were presented. So we looked at a final option, option 5, which we'll show on the screen now. And considering that this road does go, I definitely don't want to say go to nowhere, but it goes to 2 properties. We feel like that we could modify the width of the roadway to what would be a standard 26-foot, maybe a 24-foot roadway width. And by utilizing that extra width on the north side, whenever we remove that pavement, we could build the trail behind the curb without requiring the additional right-of-way, temporary or permanent right-of-ways, and without having the same effect on the drainage that is existing there, and still maintain a good trail width. Now, I will say that the trail in this location would be modified to an 8-foot width for that section of roadway, about 250 feet. But we feel like we can accomplish this work inside of existing Oklahoma City road easements. not requiring additional right-of-way or moving utilities. And so we felt like that this option, in talking with MAP staff and looking at the other options, is probably the better one. If we go to the next slide, we can go through a summary sheet that kind of breaks down the costs and the reason and the different points to each option. Option one is the cheapest, but if you remember, that's a shared path trail that would put our bicyclists on a existing roadway. Option two requires additional right-of-way and has drainage issues. Option three is the most expensive, or actually the second most expensive, but it again would require utility relocations and easements. Option four being the most expensive because we're rebuilding a roadway. Option five, again, as we discussed this and presented yesterday to the subcommittee, we feel like that with a slight modification of the existing roadway, we can fit the trail inside of existing Oklahoma City easements, preventing us from having to seek additional easements or right-of-way. And it still provides the access to the properties as well as protection to the trail behind the curb. As we look at the project schedule, you can see that if the advisory board goes with the subcommittee and approves option five, we can get our notice to proceed approximately August 5th. We will require a survey along that. We'd like to get that started as soon as possible. The right-of-way acquisition dates that are in here are really provided as a conservative number where we felt like if we had to deal with property owners, but with the option presented, we think we have all the easements that are required. We have reached out to both the Department of Transportation and OG&E for areas that we feel like would need to be shared, and both of them are very positive about being able to accomplish that. So that time frame will be shortened considerably. You can see where the final plan review and submittal would be, bidding process, contractor notice to proceed, and construction would begin towards the first of the year and be completed by middle of April. And so that's what we're presenting today to the advisory board. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Questions for Craig?
Tom, this is Bob Nealon. Craig, option five was recommended, at least from your description, sounds certainly the most feasible. Is that recommendation, was that your recommendation, or is it the recommendation of staff? Was that shared by all those who are reviewing this as being the best option for us?
Yes, sir. And I will say that this has been a long time coming, and very involved with the MAP staff, with Mr. Todd and his staff have reviewed each one of our steps, and through discussion have tried to identify the best option. And I believe, and I'll let David speak, but I believe that option five is a shared opinion that would be the best direction to go with this project.
Yes, sir. That's correct, Mr. Nealon. And also, this was discussed with the subcommittee, and they're in agreement also. What we wanted to try and reduce shared vehicular traffic paths, and then we wanted to reduce interaction with the sand operation down there and how they had to interact with that traffic, and then the utility costs would extend the length out. So we are in agreement with this.
Yeah, thank you. It certainly sounded as if that was by far the best approach to take, and I assumed that it was one that both city staff and planners were concurred with. I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
And Bob, this is the subcommittee yesterday did not have a quorum, but we did receive this, and we did make the recommendation to staff to bring this to the subcommittee with the approval of those members that were there on the subcommittee yesterday.
Okay. Thanks, Zane.
I just had one quick question on option five. I think you said that street currently serves 2 properties. Are those developed or undeveloped? And if they are developed, what are they?
Yeah, Councilman Stone, there is one property that is a commercial zone. I mean, obviously that area is industrial or commercial, and The property is up for sale. It is not currently developed. At the end of that street was a construction company slash, sand. I don't know how much sand was really mined off of that. I don't know if you knew the coffee construction company is at the end of that. So there is a business, but those are the only two properties there. So it serves a undeveloped commercial site that is up for sale, and then it serves as an entrance, more like a driveway into that construction company.
Thank you.
I have one question to the broader issue. Are we doing anything within the city to remediate this erosion issue so that it doesn't become a factor down the line?
Well, that's one reason why we're moving the trail. There's not a lot of room in there. The river moves throughout its course. It does what it wants to do based on the flows. So no, we are not going to do anything. We're just relocating the trail.
Right. I didn't mean through maps. I just meant through the city itself.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Other questions? All right, then we have the approval of the preliminary report for our consideration. If there's no further discussion, shall we have a motion? It's been moved by Todd Stone, seconded by Bob Nayland, that we approve as presented. Further discussion? Cast your vote.
Mr. Dover,
Aye.
Mr. Boatright,
Aye.
Ms. Morales,
Aye.
The motion passed. That then brings us to item 9, David, on the Oklahoma River.
Yes, sir. Item 9 is recommend final acceptance of the MAPS 3 Oklahoma River Whitewater Facility electrical capacitors and placing the maintenance bond into effect, project M3-R009A. If you recall, this is the capacitors that were placed out there to help reduce the excess capacity charge that the boathouse is paying OG&E because of the draw from the pumps out there. And this is one of those small projects that was with the extra money. So we're asking to final that project.
Questions for David?
David, can you explain what it means by final claim and then final construction cost on this?
Well, that's just what it says. So as soon as this becomes a final from council, that will be the final amount that we pay the contractor. And it's all within the original agreed to and approved contract.
The 98,000 or the 329, or what's the difference in those two?
The final claim is the 98,000.
This is just the final payment on this project,
Yes, sir.
and the total project's 329.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All right, then, shall we accept it? Motion's been made by Michael Adams, seconded by Kimberly Lowe. Further discussion? Cast your votes.
Mr. Dover,
Aye.
Mr. Boatright,
Aye.
Ms. Morales,
Aye.
The motion passed. That then brings us to item number 10. Any member of the Citizens Advisory Board or David, any new business to consider today?
We don't have any, Mr. Chairman.
Any member have new business? All right, then let's move to item 11, the subcommittee reports. Were there any subcommittees that wanted to make a report today beyond what we've already heard? Hearing none, then let's go to item 12. David, give us your update, please.
Starting off with Convention Center, things are going really well down there. I know that all of you be pleased with the way it's looking. It's on schedule. everything is going good. I wish we could give some tours, but the current situation just makes that difficult. Lower Park plans are in the office, and we're reviewing those and hope to be bringing those as final plans and out to bid next month to you. So that's going well. We've talked about wellness centers. The locker rooms at Wellness Center 2 is in final design. Wellness 1 is in design. And Wellness 4 is also coming quickly with a preliminary report. Maybe in the next month or two, we'll be bringing you the preliminary report for that one. Work at the river continues. Surf Machine is nearing completion, doing really well on that. And the other project, the second floor build out and the zip line, bids next Wednesday. So we'll be bringing that to you next month. Trails and sidewalks, as far as the sidewalks, we have asked Public Works to help us find an engineer to design that final bit of additional sidewalks that we have in there. And we're working on some trail issues with the subcommittee on that. Streetcar continues to work. The only thing that we have left on streetcar work is the leaning rails, the panels that are going in the leaning rails, and those may start next week. We've had some issues with materials because of the COVID situation, getting those in, but it looks like they should start next week, and that should go fairly quickly. So everything's going really good right now.
Any questions for David? Well, I'll just underscore what he said about the convention center. Yesterday, we saw a presentation by Kevin Cook from Populous, showed lots of visuals of the interior and exterior, and it is really going along in a wonderful way. And we're just sorry that we're not able to get in there and give a tour to everyone yet, but the time's coming when we can. But it's really coming along in good shape. Any other subcommittee want to make any points? All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Kim?
Yes, I just wanted to remind everybody that even during these challenging times of social distancing, Scissortail Park still has many events and great activities for young and old. I'll remind everybody that they can go to scissortailpark.org. Check out the tab for Farmers Market. OSU OKC holds their Farmers Market there every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with special COVID policies in place. And also check out the calendar. It shows not only what's going on at Scissortail Park, but Myriad Gardens, and a lot of great ways to get out, exercise, and feel a little bit normal.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, that brings us to item 13. Any additional comments by members of the board? Staff, any comments from the staff?
No, sir.
Have we received any requests for comments by citizens?
No, sir.
We have not received any, Mark advises me. Therefore, that brings us to item number 14. If there's no objection, we have completed the agenda for the day, and we will consider ourselves adjourned. Thank you for.
Thank you, Tom. Everyone have a good day.
Be well. Well.
Thank you all.